On the 2024 accomplishments, Chris, if we need Lonnie's and Elliot's contact info for that for the committee stuff, so provide that on that last email Chris sent. And then Matt, do you wanna do a cover letter and submit that to Jeff and the village manager?
When do you need that done by?
Before the year's up, if it's an annual report.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Calendar year. That's reasonable. It's just, if it needs to be done this week, I don't think I have time.
Okay.
But if it's, yeah, well,
This week, or you mean like you could do it next week?
I can do it next week
Okay,
sometime. Let's see, cover letter.
yeah, just the paragraph encloses the, annual report, accomplishment of the Recreation Trails Committee. Couple of sentences, maybe.
Yeah, I can put that together.
Yeah, and then email it to Jeff and to the village manager, I think.
Okay, copy.
And you can put my name under it as well if you want, it's both co-chairs.
Okay.
Okay, enough on that. Thank you, Chris, for that work on that.
So Chris, what specific information do you need from me?
If you look at the table on that,
Security, mother's maiden name.
Yes.
this is your PO box and phone number and email. I probably have the other two myself, but yeah, your whatever your PO box is, if you got one.
Email, didn't see any requests for any of that, so I'll just send you. I'll just text you all of my
Okay, thanks.
email address and phone number, which you already have.
Yeah, I think it's your PO box that's most important to show that you're a village resident.
Oh, okay.
PO box or your street address, one of the two. I think we've all done PO box just to show that we're residents. So earlier there was a little food that came up that said, just for your background, Lonnie, is that people were questioning whether you could be on a village committee if you weren't a full-time resident in town, which would have like killed half the committee.
Yeah.
So I think the village got enough flashback on that they started drafting a new policy that said you had to have property in the village or have a PO box or be employed, or a couple of conditions that made it so a part-timer could serve on committees.
Yeah, there's like a lot of statements that are for.
Yeah, so that's being revised. So we want to make, I was the one who brought that up, that have, got very valuable people in this committee that aren't full-timers. Same with the comp plan committee. And so I think they're revising our policy. So the village needs a list of people in the committee each year that, so we just want to provide that to them. Okay, item 4, discussion national trail options and decide on course of action. So national trails is like June 7th. And from what we're gathering is because the village has their balloons over Angel Fire the following weekend. And some other things in June that the village Visit Angel Fire tourism folks could not commit to pulling together a large National Trails Day celebration in town. So if we were to do something or wanted to do something, we would not have support from Visit Angel Fire.
They would probably provide promotional.
They probably provide promotional stuff, and so Brandon stepped in the meeting before he got here and mentioned that they could promote anything that our committee or trekkers wanted to support for National Trails Day.
Is there any interest from the resort to do any type of?
Don't think we've heard from the resort to ask the resort on
Okay.
that. So I don't know if it's his plan that day or not. Chris?
I think that, yeah, what we were thinking is, as the few truckers that are on the committee is that we would do this has been done in the past, but also basically we would just run 3 different trails, lead 3 different hikes on that day. An easy trail, a moderate trail, like easy would be maybe a wildlife or bird watching or wildflower type of thing on Solar Loop or something like that, and then a moderate trail going up Deer, coming down Elk or something like that, and then more challenging trail, maybe Oesta Vista or Enlightenment or something like that. And the idea also would be put up have kind of a central gathering area where we could pass out maps and give information and that kind of stuff. So we do want to coordinate with the resort because, you know, we might be going up Enlightenment or something like that. So they
In the past, they have done like a social of some sort, like hamburgers or whatever, at a gathering point. Did we want to include something like that too?
we weren't looking at that extensive. Of course, we're kind of open to anything, but we did want to make sure that the village was promoting this so that people knew about it. So, yeah.
Okay, so, the trekkers, under your leadership right now, Chris, are willing to organize an easy, moderate, difficult hike on National Trails Day. Develop some promotional marketing materials for that, which, the village would help distribute, market for you. Place to, you know, have a place to hand out maps, other trail related information. And it sounds like you might consider a social gathering after all the hikes to get together and talk trails. Talk trails or whatever else you might be doing for the summer, or report on Marina Valley activities for the rest of the year. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, that's kind of what we thought would be
Okay.
initial kind of effort. Because we do know that, like you say, we got members weekend coming up and balloons over Angel Fire and all that other stuff going on in June. So, this would be kind of the kickoff for that.
Do we want to get the resort involved in it at all, or AFPO?
We can at least ask, no harm in asking.
Yeah. My thinking is either get with the marketing group or get with Erica, you know, Stout, one of those to just try to bring in just from a perspective of helping coordinate the hikes and that kind of stuff.
And I don't think we specifically need their permission to hike on those trails because we do other, I mean, all the
Right,
time we
yeah.
do guided hikes on
No,
those
this is more
trails.
in terms of promotion and maybe involvement in any kind of social activity.
Yeah,
Some
either,
sort of base area activity if
Yeah.
the resort is willing, kind of
Yeah.
a central meeting place to host that after hike.
And the promotion of it as well. Get that on
Good shot. I don't see any harm with it.
get it on the calendar for the resort.
Right.
I did share, I think I put it in the notes, the National Trails Day. American Hiking Society, they were linked to all their promotional materials. That goes to the notes that I gave you. Maybe I printed up an old version, okay. So I think the new version of notes did have in there, oh yeah, that's the new one. I think I did put a hot link in there for National Trails Day. Promotional materials and other ideas. So one thing I've done is the slowest bike race. So I'm thinking, oh, so Olympic Park is your place. You could do hikes out of Olympic Park. Slowest bike race is football field length or half length, and it's all about balance. So the last person across the finish line without putting your feet down wins the race. So that's a kind of a fun
They're fun.
kids race.
That's how we used to do seeding for races on the mountain.
Yeah,
Yeah, you would, first place was, we'd seed that way, because the slow race.
slowest person on it. So there can be some events.
Pretty fun.
Okay, yeah, there is a link in the notes to National Trails Day. Okay. All right, and Chris, you will have enough folks within Trekkers to help pull those together and start working on that?
Yeah, I'm our board meets in April and we'll start working on all that and Is that, you keep talking about a link, for promotional materials. Have you sent that out, or is that something I need to find, or?
It's in the minutes, the draft minutes for today's meeting, which I sent out an email this morning to everybody that had a copy of the draft minutes. I
Okay,
actually sent 2 emails. The first email had the wrong version, and then I sent one probably around 7 o'clock this morning or so, 7:30. So if it's the link is in the draft minutes, but I can resend you that, Chris.
okay, I know which one you're talking about. I'll pull that up.
Yeah. And there's a hot link in there for, National Trails Day promotional and how to do events. Okay, moving on rapidly, we have, discuss a running race proposal update and decide on course of action. And Elliot, before you get started, Brandon came in this morning and has agreed that they've been talking to the Veteran Wellness Group that does their airport run in September, I think is what he told us.
Yeah, Labor Day.
Labor Day, so,
Labor Day.
as of right now, the village is just committing to support the wellness center on their run and not plan a big run yet this year. But I think what we're on to here with your idea is to get that idea in their head, start thinking about something bigger and push it for the 2026 season. So what are you thinking? Tell us about your grandiose ideas for racing.
Sounds great. Like I said, I just had a little bit of information, although it may take me a long time to say it. So the race, it turns out, if you start at the in front of the fire station 1, and run straight up to Enlightenment and then Enlightenment to the top, that's almost exactly a 10K. We could make it exactly a 10K race. So it'd be a 10K uphill run. And then if you came down, probably, as you guys mentioned, probably El Camino Real, it actually ends up about almost, we could make it exactly a 25K. So we could actually give racers the choice, like at Pikes Peak, there's an ascent and there's also a up and back down sort of thing. And so you could give racers a choice where you race, some people race up and ride the lifts down, which is what I would do. And some people would race up and then race back down too for a whole 25K. And I think you do both those races at the same time. The races that, the ones that are done with the 10K at the top, take the lifts down, and the ones that are doing the 25K do the rest of it and come back down. And so you have 2 finish lines basically. So it measured out nicely to those sort of numbers was the main information I had. But I do have information. I'm sorry that it's not exactly the agenda item, because the other thing I was supposed to look into is having a cross country race at Angel Fire someday. And I started in October. I called both Cimarron and Taos high schools, and they gave me the mobile phones of the coaches, and I immediately texted them, and they didn't respond. So a month later, I called back and got emails and emailed, and they didn't respond. Nothing. Not saying they're not interested. Not saying nothing. Didn't respond at all. So I didn't even know if they got them. But when I called Cimarron, the person I talked to that answered the phone said, "Well, I'm the assistant coach. My mom is the coach. You include me in the email." So I included her, and still nothing. Haven't heard anything. So, but yesterday I called. I actually used, since I have their mobile numbers, I actually called the Taos coach, and who, by the way, has been there 39 years and has an amazing, has won 13 state championships and in cross country. Anyway, he's an amazing coach. He texted me yesterday and said he will call me today. So he said he's been on vacation, but he's going to call me today. So I will know a little bit more after that. Still have not heard from, and of course they're both on spring break. Both schools are on spring break this week. So I wasn't able to talk to, because I figure I can at least call and talk to the junior high coach, the middle school coach, because I think she answers the phone at the high school. So when they open back up next week. So anyway, I think I'll know more then. I will tell you, I don't think that coaches are going to be excited about coming to higher altitude to race, that they like to race fast courses and that sort of thing, and that kids want to set PRs and that sort of things, and they wouldn't be setting PRs at Angel Fire. But on the other hand, it's possible. So I will find out more about that later. but that's what I have. And I will get with Brandon Prather. I'm excited. It will be much easier to do next year. We could have done it this year, a hill climb this year, but it would have been a bigger challenge, and advertising and all things would have been much trickier. So I'm excited that we might move it more towards next year, and I'll very much like to be a part of that.
So let me ask a couple additional questions. I think the village, if they're gonna put this on, do you have recommended timekeeping systems and wristbands, or how you mark runners? How many volunteers are needed? What's the coordination? So all the logistics involved in a race like that?
Yeah, and I have never organized a race. I have lots of contacts with people who have. All my contacts are going to be in Kansas, not in New Mexico. So I'll have to learn. But there are companies that do timing, and they would do chips and that sort of thing. And they're pretty. They're, at least in Kansas, they're very easy to get a hold of. There's several different ones, and I assume the same situation will be in New Mexico. But yes, you'll have to have lots of volunteers. You have to have probably 2 spots. I guess on the way down, you probably have to have some spots too, where you're giving them food and water and those sort of things, making those sort of things available to them. So you'd have to have lots of volunteers. I would guess, 20. You'd probably have to have 20 volunteers, sort of thing. And I don't know about my connections about how many I could come up with, sort of thing, but I know I could get some of those, and I actually think that the Morongo Valley Trekkers might be interested in doing that sort of thing. And anyway, but yeah, we'd need a bunch of volunteers. And of course, we'd have to have buy-in from the resort to let us use their lifts down. And I would wonder, I'll speak with them, but I would suspect that they would be interested in bringing heads and beds, as we always say. And that they might even let us use the lifts free for, one down, for one runner to come, each runner to come down, sort of thing.
It's their current policy that anybody that hikes that trail gets to ride the lift back down. They don't police it at the top at all. So anybody can ride that lift down. You don't have to have a ticket. It's free for everybody.
That's funny. I did not know that. Every time I took my my platinum card up with me, and they never checked it.
Yeah, they don't.
There's nothing that they check at the top.
So Elliot, could you put together a little more detailed write-up of a proposal that says the event would need X number of volunteers for aid stations and directional thing? What kind of support you might need from police or fire, EMS? All the stuff that Greg and Brandon have to think about to put a race together to see, how much time it's gonna involve. If you've got contacts for your racing or timekeeping organizations in Kansas, mention that these exist in Kansas. Here's a few. There may be some I'm sure there's in New Mexico. I don't know who they are, but
the wellness center, they do get those trackers like
Okay.
on your shoe or whatever, so they would know.
the wellness center has that information. That's
Yeah,
good
the
to know.
wellness center would, and then Mountain Sports, Brent Dunn, he used to put on races years ago. And because he would have like prizes and different things. So Brent Dunn with Mountain Sports might be one to talk to in town.
And it won't be hard to find. There's those companies do that, and they make money doing that, so they won't be hard to find companies to do the
And I
timing.
know businesses, when they did the adventure run, someone used to come in and do the adventure run from here to Eagle Nest, just on the road. But it was like businesses that were doing the water stations and stuff, so that.
They
might
sponsored
be-
the different stations.
Yeah, like the
So, and-
business sponsored different.
And there used to be an epic trail run in Angel Fire too, and I'm actually friends with a person who used to do that.
Oh, that'd be
So
cool, yeah.
he's out of Oklahoma, and I'm friends with him. I bike race with him, and so I will talk with him too. I think he still has the coolers and that sort of thing from when he used to put that race on.
Was that an ultra
Yes.
run that went through
Yes.
the night? I remember, yeah, that was right before I got here, which,
That
yeah.
was brutal.
And but it brought in a ton, because I had a friend that ran that one, and he was
Okay.
telling me, it's been years since they've done that, so I bet you there'd be interest.
Is that the same as Ragnar?
No. It is
Okay.
not. It is not. Yeah, but it was an amazing trail race, and there's a cool story about it. One year, the only kid who finished the long one was a kid from Philmont, and he said that a young mountain lion followed him for miles and miles during the race. He may have been hallucinating,
That's how
but
I finished.
that's the story.
Waiting to collapse, right?
Right.
Alright, so your action is just come up with a more detailed proposal, of what that might look like and.
Yeah.
And the steps involved, so
That's cool.
Greg and Brandon would know where to go with this. So the one
Okay.
I just mentioned, you heard me say it last summer, I was in Seward, Alaska on July 4th, there's a big, they have their, Mount Marathon. So everyone races straight up this mountainside. When you come back in town, there's a big street festival, there's all the vendors, so it seems like to me, all of a sudden, I was thinking, you have mimosas on Main Street, I think on the same, is that like Father's Day weekend or something, is it June? Balloon,
Yeah.
what is it,
Yeah,
Balloon
like the
weekend?
I think it
Balloons
was.
I don't know
over
if you
in
could
our
tie it
Sunday.
into then if they're racing back into town. Having all the street festival and all the people in town would actually make it a really cool way to finish their race.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
So,
Everyone likes cheering at the end.
yeah, so you can give out cowbells to people living on Camino Real when they come. right by. But I think we can think about different ways to make this a really cool thing and tie it with another event, so it's just not a standalone event, because I think that might be hard to. There's other people here seeing what they're running for, it'd be kind of cool.
But it would be cool to like tie it in with balloons over Angel Fire,
Yeah.
'cause that's just a morning event.
Right.
After the balloons fly, then you start the race. And
Mhm.
then I'm sure that the village would love to tie those two together and get some more vendor support for, festivities during the day.
I ran a race 2 years ago in Eagle Nest, connected with the Balloons over Angel Fire. And the balloons, we ran a 5K about Eagle Nest and up the hill and back down, and the balloons were going over top of us.
Very cool. Okay, anything else on the race proposal? Thanks, Elliot, for work on that.
You bet. I'll keep working. Find out more.
Good luck on the high school contacts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good luck on contacts with anybody in this.
okay. So item number 6 is address adding a recreational focused member to the committee. We are very much kind of trail focused for the most part. And so anyone who's attached to the softball league or kickball league or pickleball leagues, they're not really having a voice in this thing. So I think we're not doing enough justice to the recreation side of this committee. And I'd like us to consider adding some of the recreational focus, whether it's kids or adults or both, to the committee is something we ought to talk about. And if we do that, the question is, how do we recruit? Do we put out that the committee is looking for a member and put it on the Facebook page, use social media? But what strategies do we want, and what kind of criteria we want for this person to be on the committee to push for the recreational stuff? And Shay, I don't know, I'm maybe talking out loud for you, but it seems like you could use some more support on the recreational side as well.
That directed at Shay.
The last question was Shay, if she thinks that's a good idea that we have another recreational focused person committee to help her plight, her cause in the Village Community Center.
Yeah, I think that that's a good idea.
Okay,
How were we selected? Wasn't,
I don't know how we were selected.
Self-selected.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
That's about.
SDP,
That's a very good question.
yeah, who knows who? Yeah. So do you have, Shay, do you have folks in mind you think would wanna help bring attention to recreation issues or league issues or sports issues or playground issues to our committee?
I might be able to come up with a couple. I can maybe think of softball, somebody from the softball in Angel Fire, because Angel Fire has their own little softball team. Otherwise, most all the softball people are not from here. They're from Taos and Cimarron and Raton and out of state. And then pickleball, I mean, I could probably come up with somebody from pickleball also that would be interested because, you know, pickleball's just getting bigger and bigger. So I think that would be a good idea too. So I can rack my brain and come up with a couple people. And then how it's usually done is I approach them and just ask if they're interested. And then they have to express their interest. This is how it used to be done. I don't think this is what you guys did. Did you guys have to write like a letter or email to present it to the mayor?
No.
I did
Yeah.
originally about 7 years ago, yes.
I didn't think so, but that's how it used to be done, that they had to submit a letter of interest
Yeah.
to join the committee. But
and-
pretty much, if that's not how it's done, they just have to be approved by council and the mayor.
Yeah, the letter that we were required to write, and again, this is about 7 years ago, was very straightforward. I have an interest in trails. This is my trails experience. I'd love to be part of the committee. You know, it's like 4 lines. It's a very brief. And, you know, they're not gonna say no.
I think we were all approved by the council, but I don't think we're.
Yeah,
But that's
Unless we
for a
have a picture in
voting
the
member.
post
Would this be a
office, we're
voting member?
approved.
Because,
So
like,
our
yeah.
committee doesn't have voting members. We're all consensus-based
Oh, it's
approach, right? So
consensus.
I,
Okay.
yeah.
we don't do Robert's Rules of Orders. I don't believe in that. And for this
Right.
committee, I think it's fine for a council, but for committee work,
Yeah.
for
Oh, okay.
inclusiveness, we don't do Robert's Rules because that just.
Okay.
As far as pickleball, you know, there is the formal pickleball association that has board members.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking, if you pulled somebody out of the pickleball group, it would be good that may be a board member, because they may be more in tune with the thoughts of the pickleball association, whereas if we just got somebody that plays a lot of pickleball,
Well,
And Julia,
Nancy
Yeah.
Hooker's, like,
yeah, Rick or.
Melissa Grassmick's
Yeah,
on
Rick
softball,
is-
right, Shay?
So there's
Yeah, she
Well-
plays on the local
Yes, I was
team.
thinking of Melissa Grassmick or Nancy Hooker, because she does pickleball. They both do but they would know.
But the
if
hookers,
they Do it.
they don't live here anymore, but I
Do
think
they?
they still have their home here though, right?
Yeah, I think
It's,
they spend, they
Bubba
spend most-
Davis is president.
Yeah,
Bubba.
So
Yeah,
Martin-
Bubba. I thought it's Bubba.
and I think hookers will still spend a fair amount of time.
Yeah.
So I think the
And-
recreation side of things, so for example, workforce housing project over here, while there's some green space in there, I don't really see them talking about a playground space in the workforce housing. And if they're really talking about a neighborhood and a community, they need to have their own little dog park and they need to have their own little playground. It should be someone on this committee that understands recreation and kids and that can promote those ideas, that we can share that back to workforce housing. And I did that from my perspective, but I don't think I should be the only one thinking about those ideas. I think there ought to be a kickball league in this town.
Well, I think we
You know,
need
you have
somebody.
to have, you know, that much beer in your cup, if it spills. We're not recording this, but how do you what other opportunities, when winter sports stuff, so we keep saying there's no winter activities for kids here, so. What can we think about from the recreation perspective? Could you have a snowball target thing set up, so we just throw snowballs at targets for a little game?
Like the thing up on, off of heading home.
Yeah.
The one,
A abominable thing or whatever, it is, yeah.
yeah.
So,
Do we want somebody who represents kids on the committee? Just, you know, some young mom or dad that, you know, says, my kid needs this in this community. And I know of a lot of other kids in this community that would like to do this. I mean, just, I'm a grandpa, I'm not a young dad anymore, and I don't know what kids want to do in this community. And I think we need somebody to represent that part of our community.
good, that's good. Adult sports and then kids' activities, maybe like kids' recreation. Just a recreation focus. Could have 2 people on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Every single one of my friends in the community, or almost every single one, are old people like me.
Yeah.
We need young people like Ileana.
yeah.
The problem with getting somebody, younger is availability to come to the meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so why don't we put out, we could put a memo out to, council and to the mayor or the manager saying, we're looking for these interests to add to our committee to broaden our perspective and broaden our knowledge. How do we, can we pursue, finding those positions? Let's see if they can help with that, and we can do it our own.
Do they not have a recreation committee that?
We're now.
We are, it is us. We are that committee.
Trails and oh, yeah.
Yeah, recreation trail, so we, yeah,
Started out as,
Sorry.
we started out as trails only, and then
Okay.
recreation.
So that was our focus is trail, but then recreation got added.
Thanks.
okay, that's,
Do you want me to get a part 3 link sent out?
I think
when is that, is it gonna die in like how many minutes now?
2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Okay, anything on agenda items for you guys for next month? Nothing different, nothing new, anything standing out? Review, assigned tasks and actions.
But just on this last one, who's doing the memo to council and mayor?
Can we include that with, our annual report? Just add the paragraph and looking to broaden our,
Do you want that in the cover letter?
yeah,
Okay.
Matt is now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll add, asking for recreation focus, adults and youth recreation, we're asking to broaden our committee. So Matt's got the accomplishments report.
Cover letter I've got, I'll coordinate with Lauren, get him for our next meeting. When are we meeting next? April what?
Is that a calendar,
Are
April?
we doing still once a month?
Yeah, let's do once a
Okay.
month.
I have committee meeting on the 10th and 24th, so if we could do the first or third Thursday, that would be
So the
better.
17th?
April 17th is the,
17th should be the right day.
April 17th, 8:30 to 10?
Okay.
Okay, April 17th, 8:30 to 10, folks.
I'll be out of town that day.
I will also be.
I'm sorry, what?
I'll be out of town that day.
Okay,
Yeah, Russian, German.
really?
Less than a minute.
Okay,
Deutschland.
any other assigned tasks or actions? I'm thinking I'm gonna do, so Shay, you're gonna look for that scope of work and share with the committee? Was one of the tasks. And then another action was,
I was gonna send out the ACTA proposal.
right, and Rocky's working on a presentation of the resort on Frank Young, and we'll help with that somehow. And then we've got, last thing was, the proposal from ECTA, I'll share with everybody, I'll put it out on the group list today.
And are we gonna present to the resort?
At some point,
Okay.
Rocky's gonna kind of lead on that, so we may be involved in